Y'all, what's up? It's your girl, Anavani, and welcome back to another episode of The People's Brief. Question? Tell me what you think about this. No, for real. Have you ever noticed that white people be wearing uniforms? If you've ever seen any of them on a group outing or heading to the same place, they all have on a version of what the person next to them has on. Saw some gentle whites going into a Longhorns a couple years ago for a lunch meeting, and everybody had on a blue striped polo and khaki shorts. Took my brother to move in college his freshman year at Georgia Southern, and all of the peer mentors had on their org shirts, which is normal, but everybody had on a version of a white miniskirt. And it's not just me. The whites notice this about themselves too. Just look at TikTok. Name a common form of white and there's an associated uniform. Corporate dads, Karens, the unrelatably rich whites. And it's not just them. We see it on general TikTok users as well. The way they dress to go to the club, the jewelry stacks on their wrists, that Stanley Cup / Starbucks for coffee / signature tote bag / corporate baddie aesthetic combo for work. Well, I guess I can't sit up here and act like that behavior hasn't made its way into Black collective conscious as well. TikTok shop do indeed be having y'all in a chokehold. And what some of us might excuse as just trends that we follow that come and go, I see it as something far more sinister. Hive mindset. Hive mindset. Hive mindset and trendification go hand in hand. But trendification is just one arm of it. An arm that also belongs to capitalism, but we'll touch back on that later. What I really want to get into today is how hive mindset and the synthetically generated sense of collectiveness or belonging that is hallmark to its success and anti-intellectualism go hand in hand. That might be a big word for Elmo, but essentially, what anti-intellectualism means is any hostility, and the operative word is hostility, everybody, towards education, philosophy, and the arts and sciences. What's more is that these things are often dismissed as impractical or politically motivated, and those who stand against them often prioritize common sense and practical knowledge over critical thinking and or scholarly expertise. The trouble with that last part is what they want you to believe is common sense. And this, my friends, is what you call contrarianism. Yeah. Today, a lot of groupthink is propagated by people who have done absolutely no research and are spouting out different ideas for the sake of being different. This is where you get your red pill content, the manosphere, incel-hood, if you will. And on top of that, all while preaching against political thought or woke ideology, in the very same breath, these are the people promoting their own political agendas. Whole time, birthing a legion of trolls who recapitulate these ideas, claiming that they have done their own research, when all they actually did was read the very information that was developed with no research done in the first place. Yeah, I'm clocking y'all today. But see, people who fall victim to this sort of groupthink are people who are lacking something in the first place, who have been jaded by the isms of this world and need someone or something to blame it on. And when they find that thing that makes them feel validated, well, that's when they lean all the way in. Finding a sense of community on the outskirts of what is widely accepted factual information because they feel like their truth also lives on the outskirts. So it's not just white people who fall victim to this sort of downhill groupthink. How Jim Jones, the white one, how he got all them black people out there, I'll never know. But while, to my earlier point, we may express more individualism in the way that we dress, because of the lack of presence of our history in the story of this nation and our perceived lack of lineage, and hey, some very outlandish real shit that has happened to our community that nobody wants to admit, we too fall into contrarianism, misinformation, disinformation, and even conspiracy theories in droves. Ours just look different. So I've invited two of my creative friends to help me lay this out tonight. So lock in, right here, right now, on The People's Brief. Why? Because the mind is a terrible thing to waste. Y'all know he was trying to buy NBC, right? That's why I had to take a strong black man down. And I know y'all know better than to think we actually landed on the moon. They planned the whole thing. And you can't tell they cloned Jamie Foxx? I need y'all to tap in. Now, I don't know about what anybody else has going on, but I know my people. And my people, we have a conspiracy problem, for sure. Conspiracism is running rampant in our communities. From Beyonce is a devil worshiper to 9/11 was an inside job, but to be frank, I can't really blame us. I know well enough to know that from what the blacks have been through, anything is believable. You tell us aliens walk amongst us, and we say that sound about right. And apparently, aliens do walk amongst us. So where are we even wrong? The issue is there becomes a reliance upon conspiracy theorizing. The issue is letting conspiracies do the thinking for you. And yes, crazy shit can be true. Did the federal government conduct human experiments on hundreds of unsuspecting black men for 40 years? Yes. Me personally, you can't tell me that Tupac isn't alive and well right now today with his auntie in Cuba. So today, we're playing the People's Brief version of 2 truths and a lie, except we have 3 truths and a lie. Sometimes it takes a little extra to get the point across. First up, y'all know the crack epidemic, and if you don't, I better not catch you at the function screaming that Young Dolph line. The crack epidemic was a plight that still has ramifications to this day. But do you believe the conspiracy? Did our communities just fall into addiction, or was it really a scheme set up by Todd? Did the government really pump drugs into our neighborhoods to increase incarceration, tear families apart, and nosedive us into poverty? Well, yes. While Reagan and Nancy were screaming, just say no, they are also letting the CIA meddle in Central and South American business. And it's been well documented that those relationships eventually created a pipeline where some of those countries were able to smuggle drugs in America. That's right. Even since the 80s, the threats below the border that Donald Trump has been so occupied with had a first-class ticket courtesy of the American government to bring that rock, that powder, that white girl, as the old heads say, right to our doorsteps. So this is not necessarily a conspiracy, it's the truth. And what about the government tapping black people's phones, surveilling their movements, and infiltrating their communities? Did y'all see Selma when they were calling the Coretta Scott King's phone to inform her of her husband's extramarital activities? No. Unfortunately, Ms. DuVernay did not take creative license there. All of that is true. Same goes for the links we saw the FBI take in the 2021 film, Judas and the Black Messiah. All of these measures were taken in the 1960s and 70s by the FBI with the known white supremacist J. Edgar Hoover at the helm. The operation was called COINTELPRO, and baby, was it dastardly. The purpose was to infiltrate, discredit, and disrupt any political organizations the government deemed subversive, which more often than not meant black, progressive, left-leaning movements. And though I suppose the KKK had a file or two, under COINTELPRO, everything from disseminating propaganda to literal murder was on the table. Yeah, it's just that nobody was supposed to find out about it until we did. Next up, be honest. Are you people scared to go to the doctor? Big Mama done had a crick in her neck for 2 weeks, and she still won't go see about it. Bless her heart. But it's common in our community. The conspiracy of medical mistrust, fears around medical malpractice, unconsented experiments, flat-out attempted murders through medical means. It gets scary when white coats come out. Now this is a conspiracy, my friends, but it is a conspiracy rooted in truth. See, everybody knows the Tuskegee syphilis experiments, where they let them people suffer without treatment. What about Henrietta Lacks? They've been using her skin cells for medical discovery since 1951, which is also when she passed away at 31 years old. Then you got Dr. J. Marion Sims, so-called father of modern gynecology, who experimented on enslaved women without so much as an ice pack to ease their pain. So yeah, Big Mama is right to be scared. She should probably do something about that crick in her neck, though. Somebody find her a black doctor and quick. So what must be the lie, ladies and gentlemen? I hate to break it to you, but it's this idea that African Americans are the descendants of the ancient Hebrews in the Bible. Shoot, hate to say it, hope I don't sound ridiculous, but I'm so sorry to any gospel cues out there and their sweethearts. Why? Because it is quite literally made up. The founders of this ideology, Frank Candy and William Saunders Crowdy, both claim that God gave them this revelation in a dream. Now, their origin story is similar to other religious groups in that respect. However, there is no evidence for that genealogical trajectory to exist in reality. Another red flag appears when you find out that there is no universal doctrine for this religious sect. Rather, it's an amalgamation of varying beliefs and practices from different African-American religious traditions. Judaism is also conflated in there to form new ideology, which means the danger lies in that sects within this practice are subject to the interpretation of their leaders, and unfortunately, that can give more cult vibes than anything. Another dead giveaway is where gender roles are enforced to keep women out of leadership, which further employs something that I like to call white male-dominated supremacy in blackface. As a matter of fact, a 1999 FBI terrorism risk assessment stated that violent radical fringe members of the Black Hebrew Israelite movement specifically hold beliefs that bear a striking resemblance to the Christian identity theology practiced by many, you guessed it, white supremacists. Yikes. But hey, before y'all try to get on me, this isn't just about what white people have to say about a group that is primarily focused on black empowerment. We know they're biased. This is about recognizing how sometimes the need to fill a void can lead us into factions of ideology to make sense of the world around us, even if they don't necessarily make sense to begin with. And trust me, my heart goes out to my people for that very reason. We do not have the ability to trace us back to a power source, but I promise y'all, we don't have to go cooking up things to validate it because we are the power source. Can I get an amen? Amen. That's what I'm talking about. Now, if you look behind all the conspiracy theories we see online as people try to do whatever to make sense of the world around us, you'll find conspiracy's cousin, contrarianism. See, sometimes we overcorrect. We get online trying to push free thinking so much that some of y'all just start disagreeing with any and everything y'all can. Emphasis on seed, because God forbid y'all actually read the articles attached to the headlines. Come on, somebody. Anyway, this new phenomenon of contrarianism has created real changes in the way many people think, and not always for the better. My next two guests have a strong online presence and have had plenty of personal experiences navigating the woes of y'all's online debacles, and at the same time, they know something about challenging those perspectives, getting you to think outside the norm of what society would prefer in a way that's a little bit more constructive. Let's see what they have to say about hive mindset and contrarianism and how it's impacting the way people think on the interwebs.
Hey y'all, it's your sister, Jessie Wu, and I'm here with the one, the only Deontay Kyle. And one thing about
we love contrarianism.
So we're about to get into a little discussion surrounding some controversial conspiracies. Let's get into it.
All right, Jessie. What's a conspiracy theory you believe in?
Oh, I believe that Tupac is in Jamaica.
I thought they said he was in Haiti.
Is he in Gonaive? Because that's where my family is from, okay? Hopefully he's in the north. The north is really safe, so if that is true, hopefully he's in the north.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I be leaning towards like simulation theory, especially with all this like AI stuff.
Oh, I believe it too.
Yeah, like if a computer becomes sentient and then we get plugged in.
Yeah,
or like, might be plugged in right now.
I was just gonna say that. Like, what if we're like all computers?
Type shit.
What if we all robots?
I mean,
what if I cut you right now and you cake? Like, I don't know. I believe in all that, to be honest. Yeah.
I lean into it too because everything else, it just start getting wacky.
Yeah.
But like, as much as we on our phones, like really, we already kind of live in a simulation on our phones.
True. Define contrarianism.
Just trying to be different. What is like the textbook definition of it?
I mean, textbook definition is basically when you go against popular opinions or, facts. Or I think it's usually like someone trying to play devil's advocate.
Yeah, it's a lot of that. But for me, it really just is just trying to be different because they'll even argue with facts. Like, this is a fact. You can look it up. There's historical context. People that did theses on it. It's like, nah, I don't with it. Right. I don't think that's true.
Yeah, like when try to say, like, the world is flat. Like, you know what I mean? Like, the facts support that, the world is a sphere. You know what I mean? But
people went to school for this.
Literally. Yeah. But then people go to school and they learn this in school and still will try to be a contrarian because...
So what do you think makes people lean into contrarianism, like outside of what it'll do for engagement online? It's actually people in walking life that actually think like this. What do you think, like, their rationale behind that way of thinking is?
I think that now more than ever, we have a severe illiteracy issue. People are literally illiterate. For instance, like I posted something the other day. I went to Dubai, I went to a mosque. I put in my caption, as a devout Christian, I have always admired the Islamic religion. I admire the discipline. I admire the dedication, right? People in the comment section was like, oh my God, now she going to Islam for a man. Literally. I'm in the pictures with my man, right? Oh my God, you doing this for a man? And oh my God, how could you be a devout Christian and admire the Muslim faith? Like, it's just like, bro, I'm just at the mosque. Like, when you go to a country, you just admire
it's respect.
Exactly. But literally, there were people who read that caption and came to the conclusion that because I was standing next to my man, that I was converting to Islam for my man, literally, we're both Christian. I never said anything about converting.
People turn their brains off, like they don't have to think no more. Because Google is on the same phone that Instagram is on. But they gonna ask the comment section before they ask Google.
Hello.
Yeah.
They gonna ask the comment section before they go to the library or before they go read a book.
Anything.
Because they don't want to actually find the information for themselves. And then what happens too is that makes the spread of misinformation even easier.
So what do you think the connection is between contrarianism and conspiracy theory?
I feel like when you look at conspiracy theories, for instance, like there are folks who believe like Sandy Hook never happened, right? Like they will literally, we saw the fumes, we saw the wakes, you know what I mean? Like we saw everything unfold like before our eyes, and there will be people who will say, no, it was a conspiracy. I do feel that there will be contrarianism within that.
Correct.
But I think the conspiracy of it all is kind of like the act of saying that something factually, even though it's a fact, it actually didn't happen the way the facts present that it happened. And the reason why it is made up into a conspiracy is to fit a narrative.
Correct.
Like,
and it's always got something to do with like the Second Amendment. Like when it comes to like Sandy Hook, it's like, this is a false flag. They're trying to take our guns. Like, but I ain't gonna hold you. I got caught up in a weeds one time on Facebook. Like when Facebook first like let you hit the reels, you could just watch them jumps back to back.
Oh yeah.
About the crisis actors? Oh man.
No, I feel like Facebook is conspiracy down.
Nah, I had to delete the whole app.
Yeah, I can't do it.
Cause it like as soon as I see my cousin making statements like he's smart, I'm like, yeah, I'm out.
What's the craziest argument you've seen online?
Probably like most of them.
Right? What's not a crazy argument?
From my own like personal situation, it's like, you remember when it was like 100 men versus gorilla?
Oh
like
my
that?
Lord.
So like personally, I seen had that same argument in jail with like gusto. Like really like
they was like spirited, like it was
they wouldn't even
passion.
talk, they didn't even care if they beat their case no more. They was like, this is the conversation we having now. So given it being the same thing, it's just like things like that happen, and it's like, I guess it's entertainment. It's like we kind of trying to tune out the real world issues for a little bit of entertainment. Okay,
but I mean, I know, you know, it's a crazy argument, but like, did you have a stance on it?
My stance was, if you take 50 crackheads, promise them a brick of cocaine, they'll take the gorilla apart in like an hour. That's how I feel. I know my uncle for sure, like, my uncle's stepping on a gorilla with no pressure. But to lean into like the contrarianism part, they had, you know, people that are like zoologists, and like they was like, oh, tag me in, like this is perfect. I could tell you exactly how this is gonna go.
Yeah.
And people was like, shut up. Like,
yeah.
Like we don't want to hear that. But it's like, when presented with facts, when presented with anything that kills the fun, almost like facts oftentimes kill the fun for people.
True, very true.
And I think that's another thing too. It's just like
lies are more entertaining.
Well, trolling is sport. Like people spend their whole day trolling. So arguing with like nameless, faceless accounts is infuriating, but it's pointless because like they only there to get a reaction out of you. Yeah. Name a conversation you've seen online that eventually had an impact on the real world, and provide some examples.
I mean, Project 25. I feel like, you know, again, like we're just 6 months in, and this feels like it just feels like Sam Cooke alone, this presidency. And I feel like most of this came from the fact that people wanted to argue folks down. Like, and still you saw people like, even in our community, no, that's not real. He's not the one who published it. Everyone that he was connected to was promoting it. And then now we're in we're in the thick of it. And everything that was outlined is here. And so I think that argument caused us harm in real time.
You can point to contrarianism even when it comes to that because the article is there. Like you can go read what Project 2025 is. You can read every detail of it. I would always encourage people to do it. But anytime it's like not a tweet length, people don't want to read it. Or another thing is like, what if this dispels how I view this? What if this is the total opposite of what I've been saying? And it leads back to what I said before.
And now you're wrong.
A big part of contrarianism is people just don't want to be wrong. So they say something to get a reaction, then the internet will dogpile on you, especially when you're wrong. And instead of just saying, you know what, I was wrong, and I ain't do my research, and I'll do better, it's like, no, I'm gonna just defend this point, I'm gonna die on this hill. And that's another thing that people say on the internet, like, what's a
hill you'll die on?
All these prompts, we live in these prompts, and people take that and make that a part of their thinking and the way that they live. And they also think it's like a personality trait, I'll die on this hill. It's like, you stupid on that hill too, though.
Exactly, and you dead ass wrong. And then also the contrarianism, it coaches mass disbelief.
Correct.
So, because now other people, oh, you know what, I always felt that way. Well, feelings are not facts, right? And when we have facts that support the opposite of what you feel, that makes you wrong. And like you said, they don't want to be wrong.
Right.
One of my friends, Charles, he hosted this jollof rice versus jambalaya rice competition. And because of that, the Africans ruined Essence Fest. Why? I mean, I remember logging on to TikTok and seeing Black folks using the song from Sinners, "We pick, pull, rob, and clean," when the vampires were outside and they were singing that song trying to get into the juke joint to bite Black people and change them. I saw Black folks using that song and saying, that's what happens when you let Caribbean folks and African folks into Black American spaces. And it just took me to a very dark time, even in my childhood, because I know what it's like. I'm an immigrant, I'm a Haitian immigrant, and I know what it's like to feel like, dang, you don't belong. And I don't think people understand how xenophobia not only divides Black folks, but it can actually kill Black folks.
Yeah, for sure.
We watched a movie way back when that was called Hotel Rwanda, where we saw 2 tribes in Rwanda have these same stupid ass arguments. They think they're better than us.
The diaspora wars is tired and old because we all having an argument in English. So it's at some point we just gotta accept that we sold a bad image of each other to keep us divided. And then who does that benefit? Because it ain't never benefited us. Even to young Black Americans, the whole YN thing, it's just well, my first issue is you saying without saying so then anybody can say
Literally.
Yeah.
Come on.
And I ain't for that.
Come on.
And second of all, it's what's the next stop? Super Predator? We back at Super Predator?
Right.
Are we back, you'll see a young man be a valedictorian, and they be like, YNs in education? It's bro, come on with that bro. So I don't support that at all because it can become harmful because the image that you have when you think YN is a shiesty mask or just some young men in Philly or Chicago or Atlanta up to no good, when the reality is older men have always referred to young Black men as young without any demeaning or harmful stereotypes around it. It's just colloquial, that's how we talk. But when you put the YN thing on it and you got these rap blogs and these white folks saying it or
on TikTok,
the Indian folks saying it, it's well, you just calling me a without calling me.
Literally. Come on, somebody.
Can't rock with it.
No, can't rock with that either.
All groups have conspiracy theories, but which ones do you think are more harmful? The Black conspiracies or the white ones? Anytime white folks conspiring, we ain't tripping.
Come on.
Yeah.
Come on.
Automatically, if you compare Black and white ever, you already know what type of time I'm on.
Yeah.
But I think it's also about how they're digested, right? The contrarianism in a white conspiracy theory might be oh, we're from another planet and we're actually here by God. This is and then you get the Aryan Nation and you get neo-Nazi groups whose whole mission is to like destroy anybody that don't look like them, including the government, that's very dangerous.
Right.
And they act on that shit.
Exactly. They are doing it in present time.
Yeah.
I feel like when it comes to us, you'll hear black people be like, we were the first Hebrews. That ain't harming nobody.
Yeah.
We were the first Jews. That ain't harming nobody.
I mean, it's harming you like if you on the way to work and you gotta walk through the West End. You know what I'm saying? And just yelling at you. Bro, I'm walking on the West End. He was like, "Look, I see the mulatto in this." Like,
right. We all should do a better job too of honoring African Americans. I don't want to act as if African Americans' feelings are not valid in that. You know, I grew up in a Haitian household. I was blessed to have a mother who didn't talk down on African Americans, but I'm not gonna sit here and act like I've never heard Haitians say something bad about African Americans.
Word.
I also, you know, was raised in South Florida with African Americans. I've heard African Americans say horrible things about Haitians and other, you know, Jamaicans or Africans, whatever, right? But it goes back to something that you said, which is like, we all have a lot of unlearning to do when it comes to our communities. And now more than ever, I feel like it's the time. Like, it's the time to stop the conspiracies and the contrarianism that we have within our communities. And it's time to just honor each other, all of us.
No, I agree 100% because I think the thing is like, we're all complicit, right? And we all been kind of hit with the same playbook when it comes to colonialism.
Yeah.
But also, too, it's like, we don't get to dictate the rules just because we feel like we the home team, talking to Black Americans right now. And I think the thing is, too, is like, then that'll lead into a conspiracy about, well, we was always here. We was, you know. In terms of unlearning, like, I use an example, like, when I first stepped away from, like, the church, that'll leave your mind up, like, you very susceptible to all different type of spiritual systems. Same thing can go for, like, when you start talking about chattel slavery and people maybe feel a little insecure about being a descendant of slaves. So then we start talking about, well, we was never slaves, we was always here.
Right.
And there was no transatlantic slave trade and stuff like that.
Right.
And when you start getting into stuff like that, it's easy because it's like, you can take that in place of like something that might make you insecure about your history. And I think it's like, Black people all over experience like some widespread identity crises. And so we trying to find something to latch onto except for and so we don't have to face the reality of what it is.
And the truth.
Yeah.
The truth that we're all more alike than we would like to believe.
Absolutely.
So. And we all got ripped apart from like what belongs to us. A
lot of these like Black ideologies that are extremely patriarchal, it gets into this thing of like the manosphere on the internet where the male loneliness epidemic, which I understand, you feel me, like you can't replace the loneliness with the ideology that only seeks to serve you and like your ego because the shit can get dangerous. And like when you talked about diaspora wars and like how lives can be affected by that, even lives taken, like those type of ways of thinking lead directly into like femicide and things like that.
Of course.
So I think there's a part of us that want to open up our mind to new concepts, but only the concepts that make us feel good about ourselves. Not the concepts that address like the factual or historical things, not things that step on our toes where you are complicit in these things. And it's like, the manosphere is a big example of that. It's like this whole what do women bring to the table thing. That thing, it just serves as like, oh, well, you the prize. Like, you a man and you the prize.
Right.
And it's like all these things of undoing not only what's been done traditionally, but like
things that are happening right now.
Things that happen right now, you feel me? And trying to like rewrite the rules that only benefit you, well, then you kind of MAGA now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Literally.
Like, it leads you into the same pipeline every time.
Literally. I think about just how Manosphere, you made such a good point, how Manosphere, that talk will lead to violence against women. Like you said, femicide. For instance, there is a woman who, I believe she was from Atlanta. She was pregnant, and I think back in February, she went to the hospital with a very, very, like a migraine. And she went to the hospital, and they wouldn't even like look at her.
Tight.
You know, but.
I know what you're talking about.
Right. And then she goes back home that night, while she's gurgling in her sleep, her boyfriend, gets her back to the hospital, and by the time she gets back to the hospital, she was brain dead. Adriana Smith was her name, and she literally, again, she was pregnant, and against the will of the baby's father, against her will, against her family's will, they basically kept her plugged up. This is a brain dead woman, kept her plugged up until she came to term enough for them to have the baby ejected from her body via C-section. It was never about being pro-life for real, because our policies do not coincide with being pro-life. It is about taking away the rights of women and being able to tell women what to do. You shouldn't have standards. Who are you to expect certain things from men? If you want a man, why are you going to school? Why are you going to work? Things like it all is in conjunction with each other.
The odd thing is that they only seem to be pro-life when you in the womb. As soon as you come out, you're on your own.
As soon as you come out, you a YN. We don't care.
Yeah, tight.
We don't care.
And that's a big part of why the contrarianism conversation needs to happen and needs to be visited more frequently and called out even, because if there's not people that don't have an agenda for themselves that benefits themselves, then they won't necessarily disagree with what your stance is, because the stance isn't it's not an extreme stance. Women should have control over their own bodies and what they do. Yes, absolutely. But because that doesn't benefit me as a man or whoever sits in that seat of Congress, well then on the contrary, I can't agree with you.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Now, don't call me crazy, but it's time to start calling these things for what they are. In an age where everybody's got Wi-Fi and a mic, opinions spread faster than facts. And anti-intellectualism has become a badge of honor. But what's really fueling the groupthink? And who benefits from the confusion? To help us cut through the perceptual dissonance and connect the dots, we've got my man Justin Scott, otherwise known as Anti-Conspiracy Brother. Go on, Justin Scott. Let the people know what's really going on.
Don't call me crazy. Don't call me crazy, but ain't it interesting how it seems that the dumber the culture gets, the louder it gets. How everybody's saying something that sounds like a copy of a copy, but everybody's doing research supposedly. That's because they're not doing research, and this isn't even human behavior. The whole hive mind mindset, here's what it really is programming. I'm gonna open it up. Because when they want you quiet, they don't take your voice. That's not what happens to you. They flood the room. See, they flood it with noise. They flood it with hot takes, cold takes, vibes, influencers dancing over genocide, and genocide dancing over influencers. That's all that it floods it with. And now the truth, it ain't silent, but it can't trend. And if it can't trend, you start thinking it's not real. See, this is how it all comes together, right? It all comes together like this, because I find it real convenient that in the same country that told black people that we couldn't read, now tells everybody else you don't need to. They tell everybody else you got a TikTok for that. We got vibes for that. We got podcasts screaming at each other for that. That's what they telling everybody. But don't dig too deep. Don't ask too many questions, and definitely don't cite a book, because that's elitist to do, right? That's elitist to do. I just wanna open this up, because what keeps that whole machine running? Belonging. The hive mindset has never been about the truth. I just want you to understand, anti-intellectualism has never been about honesty. It's about being able to stay included, right? Because you repeat the same script, so no one looks at you too hard, because you live in a culture of surveillance. You clap like everybody else because silence makes you suspicious now. They built a culture where right don't matter. You just gotta be loud about it. That's where we live. That's where we live on this. So don't call me crazy, but white supremacy figured this out centuries ago, that they didn't just own the land. They didn't just need to own the land, they needed to own the lens. They didn't just ban the books, they flooded the shelves with nonsense. See, they didn't just erase history, they replaced it with content, with TikTok history denialism. That's what's coming out of that. They didn't just confuse people, they industrialized the confusion. We live in the midst of the confusion industry, a confusion epidemic. I want people to see it. They turned perception into a battleground and sold y'all the GPS with no map. So now you stuck watching reality TV while in reality it watches you. I just want to open up this whole thing. I just want to open it up because the wildest part to me, everybody knows something's off and no one can name it. And that's perceptual dissonance. When your spirit can scream, this don't feel right, but your timeline tells you, nah, you just tripping. That's how they keep you obedient. Not through fear, through fog. See, the world didn't get stupid by accident. That's what I'm trying to get at. It got curated that way. And now you got a whole generation who can't explain the name, who can't explain the meme, and can't explain themselves, and can't explain the world they live in, and can't explain their own history. Right? Because a culture where confusion is monetized, clarity will be demonized. It's just the facts. A system where the loudest voice wins, as long as it's saying nothing, is still a oppressive system. So I ain't crazy. I ain't the one who's crazy. I'm just trying to tell you, I'm not crazy. I'm just off script. And that's what makes it, and that's what really makes it dangerous. So I just want you to be able to understand how the system has been designed for you to never be able to understand the world. But deeper than that, never be able to understand yourself and the people you come from.